Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for your patience. It's, what is it? Time, 9:34, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to start by wishing everyone a Happy New Year. It's unfortunate that we are, again, back on our little squares on the screen as opposed to in a room distanced, but together, such as this wave of the pandemic again. I'm saying Happy New Year because I'm optimistic that the new year will be better than what we've had, and that this is just the lull before we get back up the curve and get things going again. So as I said, we're back in the COVID response. So again, in response to the pandemic, we are continuing to hold our meetings electronically. Members of the public are invited to participate in the meeting of council by accessing the meeting, which is live streamed on the Middlesex Centre YouTube channel. There are two additions to the agenda. They're noted in your documents. Item 13.8 with respect to the licensing agreement between the municipality and the London Police Service. And also the second item is the document which discusses the municipal access agreement between Rogers Communication and the municipality. So those two are added. I'm going to ask if there are any disclosures of pecuniary interest. None have been declared, just confirming them. Seeing none, we can then move to the Court of Revision. On Bear Creek Municipal Drain. The Court of Revision hears the appeals on drainage assessments. The portion of the cost that is proposed to be collected with respect to the work that is done as taxes from each of the landowners. The members of today's Court of Revision are Councillor Shipley, Councillor Heffernan, and myself in the chair. Council did consider the engineer's report for the Bear Creek Municipal Drain, branch 6, 12, and 13 on November 15th, 2021. There is one appeal that has been received ahead of today's Court of Revision, and it has been attached to the agenda package. So I need a motion to go into the Court of Revision. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Cates. All in favor? I'll ask anyone opposed. And seeing none, then we are in the Court of Revision. I'll call the Court of Revision to order at 9:36. So the order of business is, first we're going to hear from Mike DeVos of Spreet, who's going to be followed by the appellant, and he's going to present the engineering evidence. I'll look to see. There he comes. Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year, Mr. DeVos.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. If you'd like to take us through the engineering information, please.
Sure. I do have some backup information in terms of calculations of the actual assessments, but the appeal itself it might not warrant that. If you feel as a court that you would like to see those calculations, I can share the screen hopefully and show them to you. I did respond to the appeal. The appeal was submitted in writing, so I did respond to it, and I believe the municipality tried to follow up with the appellant, and as of yesterday or the day before, there was no response yet from the appellant as to their position after hearing the response. But the appeal itself is a residential property that is not close to the drain. So it is the new municipal works that are being constructed are not either on the property or close enough to the property where the property would be benefiting from the work. And the appeal itself, the wording of it is to that tone that they're not benefiting and they don't see the reason for being assessed. There is outlet assessments under the Drainage Act that all properties that are within the tributary area must pay for their water to enter and use the municipal drain to travel to a sufficient outlet. And so if the property is within the watershed, they are obligated to pay an assessment. And I don't know that the appellant understood that or knows that. It is part of the act. So this property is relatively small, And outlet assessments are dictated to be calculated based on the volume of flow that each property generates and would send into the drain either now or in the future if future improvements were made. So that we would usually start out by area. So each property would have a certain tributary area that would go to each section of the drain. Municipal drains are typically broken down into several segments, and each segment is assessed independently. This particular property is involved with two segments. It's involved with the lower portion of branch 6, and then one of the other branches, I believe it's branch 12. So there's two segments that it's tributary to, and it was assessed for outlet on those two segments. The property size is 0.76 hectares, and I did respond to the appellant that typically residential properties are assessed at a higher rate than an agricultural field would be, due to the fact that they have roof and driveway hard surface areas where the water will run off faster than what a farmer's field would. Bush lots will hold more water back than what a farmer's field would. So we would typically reduce a bush lot compared to a farmer's field, and then increase residential. Either commercial, institutional, or roads would all be higher than what a residential property would be, because of the hard surface areas would be larger than that. So we would, in this case, due to the size of the residential property, we used an increase factor for runoff of about 1.5 compared to what a farmer's field would be. So we took the 0.76 and adjusted it up for the type of runoff. And then you take the total adjusted area or equivalent area for all properties, take the total outlet, and then prorate it over those particular adjusted areas. And that's how we came up with the numbers that are in the report. Branch 12 is $248 outlet assessment. The total outlet assessment for that branch is $8,990. So it is still a relatively minor cost compared to some of the other properties, which are much larger. And on the lower part of branch 6, the assessment is $709 out of a total outlet charge to all the properties of $116,890. And I have those calculations if you wish to see them, but the appeal was more talking to benefit. And we did agree with the appellant that there is no benefit to the appellant's property in this case, but they're not being assessed any benefit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Is the appellant here?
It's not here today.
Okay. The clerk has informed me that the appellant has not joined us to ask questions or to address the court, in which case I'm going to ask the members of the committee, do you have any questions or do you require any further clarification? Councillor Shipley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for my own clarification, Mike, if they were not in the watershed, are they exempt from the Drainage Act then?
Yes, only properties that are tributary to the work are assessed. So in this case, there's a certain boundary of that watershed, and only properties within that area are assessed. Sometimes there is an exception to that if a property is, I would say, typically downstream, where you've diverted water away from a property, they might be assessed benefit by cutoff. It's not that common, but it does happen. It's not an outlet assessment. It would be a different type of assessment, but sometimes if you divert water away from a property, they could be charged some benefit. So they're not the tributary area, but they would be part of the affected area at that point.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Councillor Heffernan.
Yes, I just want to make a comment. It's not that this particular landowner is being picked on. Prior to the stormwater pipes and drainage and charges, it doesn't matter where you lived. If you were residential, which includes Ilderton, if there was a drain maintenance or anything, we were also charged based on our lot coverage. So it's not new. It's been around for a long time.
Okay, thank you for that. Members of the committee, is there anything further? Would you like to deliberate, or are we ready to make a decision? I don't see any hands. I'm going to take that to mean that we're ready to make a decision. So I'll ask that the motion that Middlesex Centre Court of Revision approves the schedule of assessment for the Bear Creek Municipal Drain branches 6, 12, and 13, adopted by bylaw 2021 number 108 and as outlined in the report prepared by Spreed Associates, and that the corresponding bylaw be forwarded to council for final reading. Moved by Councillor Shipley and seconded by Councillor Heffernan. Any opposed? And that is passed then. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. DeVos. And I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to adjourn the Court of Revision. Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Shipley at 9:45. Any opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. So all parties to the drain will receive written notice of the Court of Revision decision, which will contain additional information on the process to appeal the decision of the Court of Revision to the Ontario Drainage Tribunal, if that is something they want to do. So now we can move to item 4.2, which is the presentation from the Director of Economic Development and Tourism from Middlesex County. Cara Finn is going to be joining us.
Okay.
Here she comes. Good morning, Cara.
Good morning. And through you, Mayor, thank you to staff and to council for having me here this morning. I'm not sure whether my presentation will be brought up by someone else or if you'd like me to share my own screen.
Your preference?
I am good either way. I have mine ready and I can share if that works best.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, and it's full screen. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me again today. I appreciate the time of council and appreciate the invitation from staff to just share with you a report we provided to County Council in December. In essence, a roll-up of the efforts of our department over the course of the last year, and also some things in terms of looking forward. So I'll share with that with you today. So first and foremost, a great deal of work was done, and I must send some thanks to your staff. Michael was a member of our committee for the Economic Development Strategic Plan that was developed in the wake of COVID-19, of course, adding some additional challenges, but we did move forward over the course of a considerable time in 2020 to unveil our strategy for 2021 through 2025. That was readily adopted unanimously by council and now basically forms the efforts and the plan for the entire department moving forward. We also have spent a great deal of time, of course, over the last 2 years working on our Resiliency Task Force. And again, my thanks to Michael for being a part of this committee as well, along with several stakeholders and both elected officials and staff throughout the county. That task force, of course, engaged in a number of activities with respect to recovering and holding steady the economic recovery for our area. First and foremost, we did a couple of surveys with respect to the impact, and those impact surveys were able to provide us with a great deal of data, both at the local municipal level as well as the county level, that we were then able to share with upper levels of government in terms of the necessities that we required in order to hold steady. We also provided a COVID-19 resource page, which has been utilized throughout the county and with a number of our lower tiers in tandem, sharing any updates regarding programs, protocols, and guidelines, really kind of trying to provide a one-stop shop, if can be, in these very changing times throughout this pandemic. And also we've really shifted. So we took the Economic Resiliency Task Force and then shifted into more of a stabilization effort in terms of forming that committee for the Economic Development Strategic Plan. And really our means is to encourage investments, continually job creation, enhance economic sustainability through innovation and diversification throughout our municipalities. Some of the efforts of the Recovery and Resiliency Task Force included joining forces as part of the regional recovery and relief effort. We were able to access some funds, and you probably saw throughout the county, as I continue to see, a lot of the Middlesex Strong campaign messages, whether that be through the decals you're seeing on business doors. We also provided a great deal of sanitizer, the great Middlesex Strong masks that were developed locally, as well as some other items to just help some of our small businesses. We also, of course, promoted and supported our businesses and continue to do so through radio advertisement, video productions, and several contests, looking at takeout as an option in our restaurants and those kind of efforts as well. So I'm sure you've seen many of those things taken up locally as well as throughout the county over the last couple of years. We also collaborated with Southwestern Ontario Tourism Corporation. If you're not familiar with the organization, they act as what we call an RTO, or a regional tourism office, responsible for the efforts of tourism throughout Southwestern Ontario. We, as a destination marketing organization for this region, are part of that group. And together we were able to partner with SWATC, but more specifically with Windsor, Essex, Peely Island Tourism, Tourism Sarnia-Lambton, and Tourism London to establish a tourism adaptation fund. That fund provided non-repayable contributions between $5,000 and $20,000 to tourism-oriented small businesses throughout our county, as well as those other named. We are very lucky to be a part of this program. It generally would be targeted at more urban centers, but because of the tourism impact being experienced through COVID, we were invited to be a part of that and saw nearly $200,000 invested in local businesses in tourism just in Middlesex County this past year. Also, just to give you an idea of the things that we participate in as a department of council. So for many years, I have chaired and co-chaired the London Chamber of Commerce Agribusiness Committee. I also co-chair the Middlesex Workforce Development Partnership. We, of course, entertained, as noted, the Economic Resiliency Task Force over the course of the last couple of years, the Economic Development Strategic Planning Committee. I'm also a co-chair of the Ontario Food Cluster, and we're very much engaged in lead generation throughout Southern Ontario together with that group, as well as individually for Middlesex County. We also serve as members of SWATC, which was just mentioned. This year, of course, it was the Tourism Relief Fund Committee, and actually we oversaw all of the investments that were made in Windsor, Essex, Peely Island this year to assist them, and in turn they provided the adjudication for the ones for Middlesex County. We're also a member of the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, specifically on the economic development side, member of South Central Ontario Region, which is SCORE, the London Middlesex Food Policy Council. We also participate together with the Social Services Department in terms of community safety and well-being, TIO, which is the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. There's also another one for Canada that we're a member of. We participated in a number of workforce-related initiatives through the Workforce and Development Board, and I sit on 2 advisory councils, both with Fanshawe College, one for public relations and corporate communications, the other for their agri-management program. If you're not familiar with the work of the Middlesex Workforce Development Partnership, for many years, the members and stakeholders of the Workforce Development Partnerships did get together on a regular basis to meet. And a few years ago, when we designed the Department of Economic Development and Tourism at the county level, we also decided to formalize those meetings among stakeholders in workforce development and form the Middlesex Workforce Development Partnership. This is a partnership among all of the different workforce development folks throughout the county. It includes social services, but it extends into community employment choices, the Employment Sector Council, Fanshawe College, both school boards, etc. And throughout this time frame that we've been working together, we have formalized strategic plans and action plans for each year. We've been able to access some provincial funding for our efforts. And over the course of the last year, we've maintained and updated and promoted our Work in Middlesex website and job board. If you're not familiar with that, I invite you to look at workinmiddlesex.ca. It is an exclusive platform for jobs available and resources for both employers and those seeking employment throughout the entire county. The job board is a free service. It's digitally available to any employer that they can list their jobs at any time that they wish without cost. They can also access information from our stakeholder groups like Community Employment Choices to find out about training grants and other opportunities. We also this past year launched what we call our Pathways to Employment Success. This is a youth employment video series that features young people working in different careers throughout the County of Middlesex at our local employers. It's a wonderful series. If you have an opportunity to visit the website, you'll find all of the videos that we produced on that site. Those are available throughout the school boards as well through a platform that we call Edge Factor, which is widely used for the careers courses throughout our area. The Workforce Development Partnership also attended and promoted several job fairs in the area, such as London and Area Job Fair, as well as we held one specific to Thames Centre employers over the course of the last year, and that proved very successful. We've purchased a new online platform just for job fairs, and so that's now available to any employers throughout the area, or we can do specific to geography job fairs as well if wanted to be done for, say, Middlesex Centre. We've also carried out successful Young Entrepreneur Business Plan contest, and the winners this year, you'll be happy to know, are actually a couple of sisters out of Middlesex Centre, and there they are pictured there. We've also had a great partnership over the course of the last year with CTV Bell Media. If you have not seen the London and Area Works feature series that they do on the news each week, it's a wonderful series. And we've been very engaged with CTV, and they've been very interested in the stories throughout our municipalities this year with different employers. And so we've had features recently on Angels Daycare, Penta Equipment, Whitecrest Mushrooms, and ADS Pipe. We are going to be a partner in that series again for 2022, and I would invite you at any point, if you feel like there's an interesting story to be heard. Stewart Overhead Door from Middlesex Centre was also featured this year, but if you have an interesting story for a local employer, please share it with me at any time. I'd be more than happy to take that information forward to the newsroom.